OKC is the best fit for him. It's an easy trade. Picks, talent, you have the best package that can make this super seamless. But then you talk about New York. That's a legacy and a power move right there. He instantly becomes the face of New York basketball. Golden State will have to go all in and say, hey, we going all in to make this happen. The only thing about Golden State, their assets comes into play.
Twist it up, yeah.
And my dark horse, it would be like Miami.
This time next week, what uniform is Giannis Antetokounmpo wearing? Milwaukee or other?
I'm going to say Milwaukee. I mean, you got a week. It cannot be complicated. They have to get complicated as far as pieces moving. Giannis would be a buck. I'm not hearing that he want to be out. You know, what I'm hearing is, show me what we can do, Milwaukee. You know what I mean? Like, right. Show me. Like, I'm giving you.
League insiders have identified 4 teams as serious contenders if a deal were to happen before the deadline: the Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, and New York Knicks. If Giannis were traded in the coming days, it would almost certainly be to one of those 4 teams. However, waiting until the offseason could dramatically expand the market. Several teams that are reportedly out of the race right now, including the San Antonio Spurs, Houston Rockets, and Oklahoma City Thunder, have chosen not to pursue Giannis at this stage. The primary reason is that these teams believe their current trajectories are strong and do not want to disrupt long-term plans mid-season. That calculation, however, could change depending on playoff outcomes. If one or more of these teams underperforms in the postseason, urgency could replace patience. A disappointing first-round exit or a clear indication that a roster is not ready to contend could prompt front offices to reconsider their stance. At that point, Milwaukee could find itself fielding significantly stronger offers than what is currently available. According to earlier reporting, the price for Giannis is expected to include a blue-chip young player and/or a large collection of draft assets. At the moment, only a handful of franchises truly meet that criteria, and many of them are more inclined to act in the offseason rather than at the deadline. Importantly, waiting does not eliminate current offers. Teams like Golden State, Miami, New York, and Minnesota are unlikely to suddenly lose interest in a player of Giannis's caliber. From Milwaukee's perspective, there is little incentive to rush. Waiting could unlock access to elite prospects or significantly better draft compensation. Additionally, Giannis's recent injury makes it easier for the Bucks to pivot toward a softer finish to the season without explicitly committing to a rebuild. Unless one of the current suitors presents an offer that clearly surpasses anything that could be available later, the rational move for Milwaukee is patience. Another under-discussed factor is Giannis's leverage. He is eligible for free agency in 2027. That means any team that trades for him now is acquiring roughly 1.5 seasons of control. If Giannis does not signal a willingness to re-sign, teams will be hesitant to gut their rosters for a short-term window. As a result, his long-term intentions matter greatly in shaping the trade market. If Giannis were purely focused on maximizing championship odds, aligning himself with one of those players would be the logical move. That reality further supports the idea that the offseason, when teams have greater flexibility and clarity, is the more realistic timeline for a deal. At the deadline, teams face logistical constraints. Multi-team trades become complicated, draft pick rules limit flexibility, and rosters are harder to reshape mid-season. Waiting simplifies everything. For example, teams like Miami gain additional tradable picks in the offseason, making their offers far more competitive. Some reports suggest Golden State currently has the cleanest path to a deal, given their combination of contracts, young players, and draft capital. Other teams would need complex 3, 4, or even 5-team trades to make the math work. That complexity alone makes a deadline deal less appealing. In short, once the initial excitement around the trade rumors settles, the logic becomes clear. Trading Giannis at the deadline is possible, but unlikely. The Bucks stand to gain more by waiting, expanding the market, and allowing desperation from other teams to drive up the price. The situation will likely come to a head in the summer when the league landscape resets and teams reassess their direction. Until then, speculation will continue, but meaningful movement is improbable. While Giannis trade rumors dominate headlines once again, this time there is a strong chance that patience, not urgency, defines the outcome.
Beyond the timing of a potential trade, the Bucks' internal incentives strongly favor waiting. Milwaukee does not benefit from urgency. Giannis Antetokounmpo is under contract, remains one of the most valuable players in the league, and has not publicly demanded an immediate move. That combination gives the franchise leverage rather than pressure. Teams that rush trades typically do so because they fear losing control of the situation. That is not the case here. The Bucks also understand how dramatically leverage can shift after the playoffs. Regular seasons reveal strengths, but postseason failures expose limitations. Front offices often enter the summer believing their core is enough, only to change direction after being eliminated. That is when aggressive offers emerge, when patience gives way to fear of wasting a competitive window. This is particularly relevant for young teams on the rise. Organizations like Oklahoma City, Houston, and San Antonio have been disciplined, building through the draft and internal development. Right now, they see no reason to disrupt that progress, but postseason basketball has a way of accelerating timelines. A second-round exit, a matchup weakness, or a star player expressing frustration can rapidly alter long-term plans. Milwaukee is betting on that shift. The Bucks know that Giannis's value is not static. It can increase if more teams decide they are one move away from contention. That is why waiting creates optionality. Even if none of those teams reverse course, the Bucks still retain access to the same offers currently on the table. Another important consideration is draft capital. Many teams are restricted at the deadline by league rules and previously traded picks. In the offseason, those constraints loosen. Draft picks become available, pick swaps can be structured more creatively, and sign-and-trade mechanisms open new pathways. This alone can significantly improve the quality of offers. Roster clarity also matters. At the deadline, teams are operating with incomplete information. Injuries, chemistry questions, and role uncertainty complicate evaluations. After the season ends, front offices can make decisions with a full sample size. That benefits the seller, not the buyer. From Giannis's perspective, leverage cuts both ways. While he cannot force a trade outright, his contract timeline matters. Any acquiring team must consider whether he would commit long-term. Giving up a large package for a short window is risky unless there is confidence in retention. This reality narrows the list of aggressive suitors and makes off-season discussions, when long-term visions can be aligned, far more productive. This is why speculation about Giannis calling his shot is not entirely exaggerated. He does not need to issue ultimatums. Even subtle signals about preferred environments can shape negotiations. Teams want assurance that a trade is not a rental. That assurance often comes through quiet communication rather than public statements. When considering destinations, the competitive arc of the league becomes central. Championships tend to cluster around eras defined by a few dominant players. Smart stars aim to align with that trajectory. Giannis, at this stage, is likely thinking less about short-term market size and more about sustained championship probability. That is why pairing with ascending superstars is such a recurring theme in these discussions. Younger players with elite ceilings represent longer windows and more flexibility. They also reduce the burden on Giannis to carry every possession, something that becomes increasingly important as players age. However, these partnerships are far easier to construct in the offseason. Teams can reshuffle rosters, clear salary, and balance age curves. Mid-season trades rarely allow for that level of optimization. Even when they succeed, they often come with adjustment costs that show up in the playoffs. This brings the discussion back to Golden State, which is frequently cited as the cleanest deadline option. The Warriors have movable contracts, young players, and draft picks.
They also have a clear short-term motivation as their core is aging. But even in that scenario, Milwaukee must ask whether the offer represents peak value or simply immediate convenience. Convenience rarely wins championships or rebuilds franchises. Value does. The same logic applies to Miami, New York, and Minnesota. Each has reasons to pursue Giannis, but each also faces constraints that are easier to resolve with time. Whether it's draft pick availability, salary matching, or roster balance, the offseason offers solutions that the deadline does not. There is also the broader strategic question of direction. Trading Giannis signals a shift, not just a transaction. It requires alignment across ownership, management, and coaching. Those decisions are rarely finalized in the compressed environment of the deadline. The offseason allows for consensus building and long-term planning. Another factor that quietly supports waiting is fan and market management. Trading a franchise icon is emotionally charged. Doing so during the season can fracture a fan base. The offseason provides space to control messaging, articulate a vision, and reset expectations. That matters for a small market franchise like Milwaukee. Meanwhile, speculation will continue, as it always does. Trade rumors fill airtime and social media cycles, especially when they involve top-tier stars. That does not mean a deal is imminent. Often it simply reflects interest, not inevitability. The important distinction here is between availability and likelihood. Giannis may be available in theory, but the conditions required for a trade that satisfies Milwaukee's objectives are unlikely to be met at the deadline. That gap is what makes a summer move more realistic. When the dust settles, the pattern becomes clear. This is not about indecision, it's about timing. The Bucks are maximizing leverage, optionality, and long-term value. That approach aligns with how elite franchises handle superstar transitions. History supports this strategy. The biggest returns for star players almost always come from off-season deals. Deadline trades tend to favor contenders seeking marginal gains, not franchises reshaping their future. As the deadline approaches, attention will spike, speculation will intensify, and proposed trades will circulate. But behind the noise, the incentives remain unchanged. Milwaukee gains more by waiting, and the league understands that. If and when a Giannis trade happens, it will likely come at a moment when the market is widest, the offers are richest, and the direction is clearest. That moment is far more likely to arrive in the summer than in the final days before the deadline. Until then, the situation remains what it quietly has become, not a countdown, but a holding pattern, one defined by patience, leverage, and long-term calculation, rather than urgency.